those who claim to be the owners of the English language, they've got a very interesting saying. Why fix it if it ain't broken? Good evening. My name is Guthrie Munyuki, and welcome to Vantage. Tonight, on the program, we have ZANU-PF spokesperson, Ambassador Christopher Mutsvangwa, to talk to us about the party's Congress, which begins next week on Tuesday. Ambassador Mutsvangwa, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Vantage.
I have said in my opening remarks, they say, why fix it if it ain't broken? I'm going to talk about the government side of things first. The president has been in power and is almost completing his first term.
Yes.
We have seen a lot of progress in terms of infrastructure development. We have seen the roads construction, the line 7 and 8 in Wange is at the cusp of being opened or being completed, depending with what you want to say. We have seen even the Chinese tram. Pardon me, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but the Manise project in Vuma. And yet people are saying, this man is doing all these things. Why would you then want to go when he's doing these fantastic things, when his term comes to an end? What is your feeling within the party?
Well, the constitution is very clear. One has got 2 terms. That was the constitution which we adopted unanimously across the parties in 2013, and the constitution is in operation. It came from the referendum of the whole country, and the president is entitled to 2 terms. He's just said one term now. He is going to for elections next year for the 2nd term, according to the constitution. We are happy that he lives and conducts his business in line with the constitution. So we are not entertaining those who feel that there can be any changes in the leadership, because we are strictly following the constitution of the country to give somebody a second bite at the cherry as per provision of the constitution. But more than that, it is the substance of the presidency of Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. In a short 4 years, he has overhauled this economy and created a new sense of can-do among the Zimbabweans. There is a new spirit in the land that we can do. We are a people who have always been proud of our capacity to deliver. It's historical. You know, we have the largest civilization in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, you know, with the great Zimbabwe and Kami. This is a testimony to a history of achievers. We fought and created a new state, you know, out of our own blood and sweat, you know, against the foremost imperial power of the time, which is the Rhodesian Catspur of the British Empire. So we have our own state minted out of the blood and sacrifice of the Zimbabwe people. So we have got this sense of destiny, of delivery, and he has captured it so well in a short 4 years that there is a palpable feeling of hope among Zimbabweans. You must touch it.
Palpable hope.
Yes.
It appears like you feel you can touch it.
Yes.
If I am to quote you.
Yes.
Ambassador Mutsvangwa, does this then explain why we have these different people coming to be supporting the president? Teachers for ED, women for ED, men ED believe, and so many. Does this speak to the alluring factor that you're talking about?
Yes. ZANU-PF is a mass party. We had to wage a people's war to be where we are today. It means we had to organize the totality of the Zimbabwean population. So although we do have our membership, which is the core, and even a cadreship particularly from the National Liberation Movements of ZIPRA and ZANA forces, we also have a mass appeal. I always emphasize that we are a party which did not come from bush to office or from bullet to office. We are a party which came from ballot to office. Even though we were on the verge of military victory in 1979, we agreed to lay down our arms and went into assembly points so that we could give the latitude to the people of Zimbabwe to use the X on a piece of paper as their expression of support for whomever they wanted to rule. So the democratic ethos are what became the genesis of Zimbabwe as a country in 1980. So we don't consider ZANU-PF as a party destined to rule. No, we struggle, fight day and night to make sure that we restore or retain or promote the appeal of the population. And I'm glad that with our new president and the Second Republic, this aspect is getting a spontaneous response from the population of Zimbabwe. So I'm just coming from the Harare International Conference Center. Never in the history of the International Conference Center has it been so full as it was today. And who were the audience? Teachers from all over the country. All the auditoriums were full. All the sitting auditoriums were full to the brim. And these were teachers who had come to say, we are supporting the president. Now, there is no better opinion maker in society than a teacher. You know, he is the one who shapes the country. So for our president to have such a ringing endorsement from the teachers as he got today, it was exhilarating. It was so exciting. And if anybody who is in the opposition has got eyes to see, and if anybody in the opposition has got ears to hear, what was happening at the International Conference Center must be make them quake in their shoes. This is something which is never happened in the history of ZANU-PF in recent times, that there can be such a spontaneous response and expression of support for the president. That's why we've got all these economic development groups coming up, ED for women, ED for this, ED for that, ED. And even now ED from the whites. I was telling you about how our white citizens...
Fantastic. We'll come back to that.
Yes.
Because there are certain teachings that we cannot ignore.
Yes.
We are taught that every time we must have a break.
Yes.
And I want to give you a break.
Thank you
because
so much.
I know you're exhilarated by what has been happening.
Yes, I am. I'm definitely excited.
Sure, we'll be back. Please don't go away. You're watching Vantage. We are with Ambassador Christopher Mutsvangwa, the ZANU-PF spokesperson, on the program tonight. We'll be back. Welcome back. Tonight on the program, we are with Ambassador Christopher Mutsvangwa, the ruling party's spokesperson. Ambassador Mutsvangwa, you are heading into your Congress, and there's been a lot of noticeable work, particularly on the infrastructure side. And people are saying that this is a good sign. Now, as you head into your Congress, what are some of the most noticeable things that you have done as a party and the major projects you believe they are signposting the future under the governance of ZANU-PF? Well,
the president is doing fantastic work with infrastructure. The road network is back. And I used to provide for 4 hours to go to Masvingo. Now I provide for less than 2 hours because the highway has been rebuilt. And by Zimbabweans. We didn't have to contract the Turkish or the Chinese or whoever. We built it ourselves. But what is even more exciting is the slew of major infrastructure projects which are being driven by world-class capital, the best companies in the world today, who have decided to ply their trade in Zimbabwe in the various sectors where they've achieved supreme excellence at the global stage. What's happening in the stainless steel, in the carbon steel ecosystem at Manise is mind-boggling. We started off with the ferrochrome in Selu. We now are at the Wangi Collieries, where we are doing coking coal. And the last stage is the Manise steel plant, which the president recently had the opportunity to launch. He had a groundbreaking ceremony at Manise. And this was a ground-breaking ceremony of a project already 40% complete. Right now, I'm coming from Maputo. We were having discussions between the same company and the Mozambican government. At stake, 40 billion US dollars of investments between Mozambique and Zimbabwe. What is the focus? A new port south of Beira, completely new, and 20,000 hectares of building new batteries for Tesla, for Mercedes-Benz, for Ford. This is going to be happening, you know, between Maputo and Harare. If I can put it graphically, you can see the influence of Riyadh and Moscow on the global stage because of fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Because everybody's mobility is done by petroleum-driven vehicles. Now there is a paradigm shift, just like there was a paradigm shift from coal to fossil to liquid petroleum. Now there is a shift from liquid petroleum to batteries, and batteries is lithium, it is nickel, it is graphite, it is manganese, and it is cobalt. All these minerals are within the sub-region, and Zimbabwe is emerging as a major player in the lithium sector.
Thank you, Ambassador.
So these are the implications on infrastructure, where we'll be doing drive trains for vehicles, of the electric vehicles of the future in Manise. According to Elon Musk, possession of lithium is a license to print money. So
I hear you. Let's shift our attention to the beginning of the Congress and the Congress itself.
Yes.
We have seen invitations that have been sent to delegates, and it appears this year you're going to have a Congress that is not going to have thousands of people, like what has happened previously. What is the rationale behind that?
Well, we've got to remember that we are still coming out of the menace of COVID. Actually, the conference of ZANU-PF last year had to be held virtual. We had to minimize the number of people and use the provincial centers. But because Zimbabwe has done so well in arresting the threat of COVID, we are a top performer. We have decided to open up, you know, because we are confident about about controlling the COVID menace. But at the same time, we still have to be cognizant, to be aware that anything can come, because this is a disease which can come from nowhere. So we have decided to have a balance between having the usual numbers and also trying to meet the health aspects of it. But we also believe that we are now much more focused on cogent achievements in the economic field. So the discussion needs to be more focused, and you are more focused when you have a leaner number, rather than having a rally of people come to express political allegiance to a party. We have shifted just from political slogans now, we have shifted to economic performance.
Talking about the economy, is it going to be your trump card in next year's elections, the issue of the economy?
It is. You know, people have got to understand that when people sacrifice the only life which they have, they don't do it redamp. They do it that my life, even if I lose it, the country will have a better future out of my sacrifice. So if you don't deliver economic prosperity, you are actually betraying the cause. Their fight was in vain. That's what you are doing. So President Mnangagwa, he was right there from the beginning. He's a lucky survivor of the nascent army as it was being formed, even when before the IUA Deliberation Committee, he was already, you know, scouring Africa, looking for training and guns to come in. So he knows by his long memory of what the Zimbabwe people went through, that the delivery of prosperity is the ultimate vindication and homage to those who died. And that's what he has focused on. So there are many achievements in the economic field, but the most exciting ones, I think, now are in the financial field. He has delivered on the virtual restoration of the Zimbabwe dollar by making sure that we plug the leakages which had made those from outside profit from our economy more than ourselves. There were huge leakages. It was like Mbaura. Yadi iri kunoenda kunoteka mvura kumgodhi. Mbaura, you cannot use Mbaura to drink water. So our economy was actually leaking like a Mbaura bucket. And President
We'll come back to that.
President Mnangagwa has plugged the leakages. And now there's accumulation of the US dollar to the point where there's no more talk about the restoration of the Zimbabwe dollar because it has been restored by the buying power of the Zimbabwe people because there are no more leakages.
We'll come back to that. We'll be back after this short break. Please don't go away. Welcome back to the final segment of this week's Vantage. And tonight on the program, we have the ZANU-PF spokesperson, Ambassador Christopher Mutsvangwa, talking about the Congress, which begins on Tuesday and ends on Sunday. Ambassador Mutsvangwa, we have seen all the 4 party organs endorsing the president. We have seen every province endorsing the president. That is got to continue, and he is the sole candidate of the party in next year's elections. Is it a done deal?
Well,
voting will just be a mere formality.
Look, we are a bottom-up party. We are a mass party with structures. That's how you can't win a war unless you develop structures. And the distinguishing factor about Zimbabwe among all African countries is the existence of grassroots structures which are a byproduct of the war. So our party takes its democracy from that consultating purpose of consensus build because you are consciously making decisions about your destiny. So the grassroots approach makes sure that your ideas are tested right from the grassroots before they come to the top. If they are good and they've traveled through the window, they've won the grassroots, so be it. If they are foolish and they've been winnowed away by the grassroots, that's it also. So we only have Muso Wewanu and Musoma ideas coming to the Congress. So this is where we are now. We have done, all the organs have done their consultations. All the provinces have given their views, and we now have our central committee. We've just finished the central committee elections. There was an announcement yesterday, 2 days ago, by the national PC of the central committee as the supreme leadership of the party outside, which is the Politburo as a secretariat. So everything has been done and dusted.
ZANU-PF, we were told that there were some within ZANU-PF and some within the opposition, including the Triple C, that would support the idea of the so-called third way by Guthrie last week. In ZANU-PF, do you believe that really there are people with the gravitas to destabilize ZANU-PF and go and be able to have to become part of a hybrid political formation that could eventually take over the reins?
Tsenengam is just a loud mouth and a braggart. He can't find his own identity. He always wants to somehow speak on behalf of ZANU-PF. No, we have our own spokesman. I'm here, the spokesperson of ZANU-PF. So next time Tsenengam speaks, don't listen to him talking about ZANU-PF. Listen from the horse's mouth. I'm here.
This week, the Daily News led with a story in which it also spoke to the former national political commissar, Xavier Kasukwere.
He's lost sheep, that one.
Where he said...
That's why we kicked him out. That's why he's out of form.
It's okay. It's okay. Let me finish. Where he said, I will listen to the people of Zimbabwe. I'm sure ZANU-PF included. If they say I must come and lead, I'll come and lead. Do as ZANU-PF, is it something that you are taking seriously, that there could be somebody who can do better than your candidate?
No. I don't lose sleep at all over Kasukwere. I know he had a free ride with the wife of the former president. He consulted with a few generals, and then he thought by association, by induction, he's now a cadre of ZANU-PF. He even went to disparage all the war veterans who actually fought for him to have the platform where he was Humpty Dumpty sitting on a wall, thinking that he was high and mighty. And then he fell like with a thud, and that's how he's lost. And he's still thinking, you can even meet some influential former Rhodesians so that they can go and be his interlocutors in the UK to get support so that he can have a candidate for the election. These are all people from the Rhodesian days. They are in their 70s. I mean, he wants them to go in the canvas for support for him. You can see that there is an emptiness about Kasukwere which does not deserve attention. Exile makes you mad. It even makes you worse when you don't have the mental capacity, which unfortunately is lacking in Kasukwere. That's why when everybody else was going to school, he couldn't go to school in this country. He had to catch up with school very late, probably in dubious ways. So he is not capable of thinking in a rational way which takes cognizance of what ZANU-PF is and what the people of Zimbabwe has gone through. He's a braggart, and we don't bother treating braggarts serious.
Finally, Ambassador Mutsvangwa, we saw the return of some of the people who were sacked from the party in the last years of President Robert Mugabe's rule, bouncing back into the Central Committee. Cadres like former State Security Minister Nicholas Goche, businessman James Makamba, former Harare Mayor Charles Tawengwa, and many others. Does this speak to a newfound love in ZANU-PF, which you are going to carry into 2023 national elections?
Well, we're going to probably highlight the fact that Ndabaningi Stole is now a national hero. And a lot of consultations are going on right now with his family in Chipinge so that we have a razzmatazz of the return of the nationalistic credentials and recognition of the nationally patriotic credentials of Ndabaningi Stole. This is a good thing. Chikerema also, I'm coming from Mashonaland West. We are very happy that Chikerema has been declared a national hero. You cannot run away from the history of this country. We went through, it was not a linear development. Nobody had a template as to how we could prosecute the armed struggle. We felt we crossed the river as we felt the pebbles of the stone. And sometimes along the way, you misstep, you fall. But it doesn't mean that you were not part of the team which was crossing the river. So these are the things which our president, because one, he has got this long memory, alluded to, because he went to the war when he was young. So he has a lot of the information about what happened during the war, which we don't, because we went there later than him, we may not be privy to that information. So it speaks of his confidence about the solidity of ZANU-PF, and also his confidence in the direction which is steering the country, that he can be so magnanimous as to bring everybody on board. Just yesterday, he was in Matabeleland. He is opening all the chapters of the Gukura thing so that people can express whatever happened, so that we reconcile even at the community level to the events which happened. You make missteps as a country, but it's how you walk out, you lift yourself out of missteps. And the president, because of his agenda of open engagement, nobody will be left behind, no place will be left behind, no enemies, everybody must be a friend. He is embracing all and making sure that this inclusiveness is definitely wholesome for Zimbabweans. It makes everybody come on board. That's why, the return of, if Story can come back, why not Coach? If Chikerema can be recognized, why not James Makamba? All these other people there, they minor fallouts with the party. And I do hope people like Kasukwere, who are daydreaming about coming to power, they should just eat humble pie. Come back like James Makamba. Come and rejoin the party. Maybe if he reforms and we begin to identify the ethos of the party again, he may yet again rise. ZANU-PF is a forgiving party. But if as long as he entertains the idea that I'm big shot and I need to ride, you have a free ride on the credentials of the likes of Grace Mugabe or Mujuru or whoever, this general or that then it's not ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF doesn't believe in personalities. ZANU-PF believes in the collective. And Kasukwere simply does not subscribe to the collective. That's his problem.
So if he reforms like you are saying, he could be forgiven.
He can be forgiven, or if he wants, he can come and form his party and try his luck in the elections, and so that we will trample him by the votes come 2023. That is probably the best way to make sure that he is quietened forever. We put paste, glue to his mouth if he can come and start his party and start campaigning for the elections. We really would put him glue, that's a special type of glue which will make sure that his mouth never opens again.
We cannot remain glued to these chairs forever. Ambassador Mutsvangwa, I would like to thank you very much for having made time to come to talk to us about your Congress and other issues. We do hope that you're going to have a very fruitful week as you gather in Harare. There you are. We're done for this week.
Thank you, Vantage, and all the best for our president and ZANU-PF in the coming Congress.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of our pleasant programs. Good night.